Hi everyone, welcome to Musicians Edition. This is Evan here on the piano, and in this video we're going to be talking about chords and the layouts of how to know what major and minor chords you have available in whatever scale you're playing. So this is going to be great for those interested in improvising or composition or just having a better understanding of chord progressions. So this is not anything too complicated, I don't think, but it does have a lot of benefits for us. When we're building chord progressions, we need help with where to go next. So from one chord we can think, I want something darker, but what are my minor chords I might be able to jump to? Or I want something brighter to boost this up. What are those majors I can jump to? So we can become more proficient and quicker to be able to get those progressions down. This is also an introduction to a mini series on scale degrees, transposition, and chord progressions, all tied together that we're going to be doing in future videos. So do stay tuned for those. We'll be going over the numbering system so you can know what numbers for each chords to get better familiarity with them. But one thing at a time, let's just get this layout down of each of these chords to get started. All right, so we're going to look at major scales first. So there's a different pattern for the major scales versus the minor scales. We're going to look at this major scale one first. We're going to start with C major. So in the C major scale, our chords are just all the white keys. And if we look at them all together, we have a C major, a D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, and B minor with a diminished fifth. All right, and so looking at all these together, what we have is a major on the one, that's our C. That's the first note in our scale, so that's why I'm going to say it's the one for this. So first chord we have available is a major. The second chord, which is D, is a minor. Third chord, minor. Fourth chord on F is a major. Fifth chord on G, another major. Sixth chord on A, that is a minor. And seventh chord on B, that is our minor diminished fifth. So that means altogether, we have a pattern of the first chord, the fourth, and the fifth. C, F, and G in this case are all major chords. Our second, third, and sixth, in this case, D minor, E minor, A minor are all of our minor chords, and that seventh, in this case B, is our minor with a diminished fifth. All right, so just so you can see it, that is B, D, F. It's a diminished fifth because we're not playing F sharp, which would be the true fifth. We are diminished down to F. So that's the pattern that's going to apply to every single one. So let's just pick another one, and let's look at our sheet here so we can see all of them for reference. That was C. So if I want to jump to D major scale, to the D major scale, that means my first chord available is now D. And that is going to be a D major chord. D, F sharp, and A. So that first chord is always a major. My second chord was always a minor, and that stands true here. This is an E minor chord, E, G, B. My third chord is another minor, and that is going to be on F sharp. That's the third note in my scale, because our D major scale is D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. Those are my 7 notes. 7 right there. So my third one was F sharp minor. My fourth chord is on the fourth note in the scale, G. This is a major. And my fifth should also be a major, that's A. My sixth should now be a minor, that is on B. And my seventh, which is C sharp, which I'll come back over here, should be a minor with a diminished fifth, which it is right there. So I could do the same thing through all of the scales here. They all follow the same pattern. And let's look at what that system looks like a bit more neatly. So my one, my first note, the first chord in the scale is always a major that I'm going to find. So that's 1, which was C major or D major, depending on what scale we were looking at. My second chord was always a minor. Third chord, always a minor. Fourth chord, always a major. Fifth chord, always a major. Sixth, always a minor. Seventh, always a minor with the diminished fifth. So that means all I need to know is I need to know the 7 notes in my scale, and I need to understand the pattern of a chord, which is every other note in that scale is what we're going to use for it. So the C major scale was easy because it was all white keys. So C is every other note in the scale are the 3 notes of my triad, which is C, skip D, play E, skip F, play G, 3-note triad. That's how I get a C major chord. And now for D, the 2nd note in my scale, I need to play the 2nd, the 4th, and the 6th for D minor. And for C major, the C major scale, it's easy to just slide your hand and do all of this without having to think about it. But D major was a little bit harder because there's 2 sharps. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I gotta make sure I'm thinking about which notes I'm gonna actually play, not just all these white ones. But that D major chord played 1, 3, and 5, skipping over the 2 and the 4. There's our chord. And that's the pattern we have for all this. So just remember, here's our pattern with all the numbers: major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, minor diminished. Write that down, have it available in front of your piano so you can remember that until you do have that memorized. And then to make up all those chords, I'm just doing every other note in the scale. That's it. 1, 3, 5, 2, 4, 6, 3, 5, 7, just skipping over 1 note, and those are the 3 notes in my triads, which you should be familiar with if you do have an understanding of chords. That is a basic triad, is that 1, 3, 5 system, always skipping over 1 note in the middle, one of the notes in your scale. And so that's us working off of thirds to create those triads. So hopefully that's something that's familiar to you. If not, you're learning a few new things, and I hope that's not too overwhelming. But you see our pattern here. This pattern applies to every major scale we want to use. And so one more time, we have 1 major, 2, 3 minor, 4, 5 major, 6 minor, and 7 minor diminished. All right. Now, minor scales. The same idea applies. It's just a slightly different pattern. They're just kind of rearranged on here, but we'll go ahead and make sure we get that down. Same idea applies. So if I start in a C minor scale, a C minor scale is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then back to C again for the 1. So those are my 7 notes. That I'm going to keep in mind for this. And so my 7 chords. We're going to have a new pattern for the minor scales, and that is going to be like this. So from C, I need to be using every other note in my scale. That gets me a C minor. For D, I'm going to be playing D, F, and A flat. And that is my minor diminished, because a D minor chord would be DFA. This is a diminished 5th here, right there. My 3rd on E flat should be a major, which is going to be these 3 notes right here. My 4th on F is a minor. My 5th on G is a minor. My 6th and 7th will both be majors. There they are. So those are my 7 chords. So now my pattern, if I look at it all together, is 1 is a minor. 2 is that minor diminished 5th. 3 is a major. 4 is a minor, 5 is a minor, 6 major, 7 major. So my 3 majors are now the 3, 6, and 7. The 3 regular minors are 1, 4, and 5, with that minor diminished on the 2. So here it is, all the scales we can possibly look at, so we can transpose the same kind of a pattern to anywhere else. It will always follow this pattern. Here it is for all the different scales with what those chords are. So we can pick any scale, and we know we're going to get the same pattern of all the 1s are a minor, all the 2s are that diminished, all the 3s are a major, and so on. And finally, our cheat sheet, just like we had for the majors. Here it is, we can see our 3 minor chords were the 1, 4, and 5 in this case. So 1, 4, and 5 will always be minors. And my 3 majors were the 3, 6, and 7. Which were here, here, and here in that C minor scale. And my minor diminished is that 2, right there. And that is it for this lesson in chords, the layout for each of those kinds of scale, major versus minor. Do stay tuned for future videos. We're going to be covering more about how to use this further, common chord progressions that you can use to help build your own, as well as scale degrees for the numbering system for chords. So do stay tuned for future videos. Have fun playing, and we'll see you next time.